Welcome to Victory Through Time. Today, we're diving into something a bit different, the world of Olympic sports that were banned or removed from the Games. In this first part of our series, we'll explore 25 Olympic sports that didn't make it to the modern era, whether due to changing times, controversy, or simply losing their place in history. From bizarre events to ones that sparked heated debates, these sports have fascinating stories to tell. So sit back and let's unravel the history of the Olympic Games, one banned sport at a time. 1. Dueling pistols. At the 1906 Intercalated Games in Athens, an Olympic experiment held between official cycles, organizers staged one of the most surreal competitions in the history of the Games, dueling pistols. It's not a gunfight, despite the name. Instead, competitors stand 20 meters away and fire wax bullets at dressed mannequins with black bullseyes drawn over the chest. France sends its best marksman and sweeps the podium, with Léon Moreau, a former military shooter, taking gold. The mannequins wear frock coats and neckties to simulate a gentleman's duel, but there's no blood, no danger, and no audience engagement. The event never appears again. The IOC doesn't recognize the 1906 Games as official, and wax dueling is quietly shelved as both impractical and too far removed from sport. Still, its inclusion reflects how undefined Olympic programming remains in the early 20th century, before standard events stabilized the program. The intercalated experiment ends in 1906, but novelty events continue through the next 3 decades. The most enduring of those, a team contest straight out of schoolyard recess. 2. Tug of war. Between 1900 and 1920, tug of war is a sanctioned Olympic event, team-based, officiated, and medal-bearing. Matches follow a strict 5-minute time limit, judged by which side pulls the rope 4 meters or forces the other into a foul. Great Britain dominates the podium early, powered by squads composed largely of London police officers. In 1908, the British Metropolitan Police beat Germany in the final, anchoring the rope in spiked boots while weighing over 800 pounds combined. Appeals from the losing teams center on equipment and footwear rather than rules, but organizers side with the British. The event appears in 5 consecutive Olympics, but disappears after Antwerp 1920. The International Olympic Committee drops it from the schedule amid tightening definitions of athletic events and growing pressure to modernize the Games. Unlike gymnastics or wrestling, tug of war lacks international standardization and consistent rulebooks, making it hard to regulate across nations. Its removal is never formally debated. It just vanishes in the program shuffle of the 1920s. Meanwhile, a different kind of rhythmic team sport briefly finds favor. Less raw strength, more musicality. 3. Croquet. Croquet debuts at the 1900 Paris Olympics as one of the first precision lawn sports on the program. The format includes 3 events: singles, 1 ball, singles, 2 balls, and doubles, all staged at the Bois de Boulogne. Matches stretch for hours under relaxed officiation, with competitors dressed in long skirts and hats under summer heat. Every medal is awarded to France, the only country to field a complete roster. Only one spectator, reportedly English, attends the events in full, prompting criticism of the sport's viability on the international stage. The issue isn't just poor attendance, it's lack of global uptake. Unlike fencing or cycling, croquet has limited participation outside of France and Britain, and no formal governing body to establish consistent rules. Organizers quietly drop the event from future games, and by 1904, it's off the schedule entirely. An attempt to revive it in modified form as roquet at the St. Louis Olympics fails to draw entrants. From then on, Olympic lawn sports take a back seat until archery returns with broader appeal and standardized targets. 4. Roquet replaces croquet at the 1904 St. Louis Olympics, tailored to American preferences. The event is played on a hard clay court with solid wooden borders, favoring bank shots and angular strategy over the traditional lawn game's soft touch. All 4 entrants are American men. No other country sends a team, and no women are allowed to compete. Matches are held without spectators, and medals are awarded by default: gold to Charles Jacobus, silver and bronze to Smith Streeter and Charles Brown. The sport's Olympic appearance lasts just 4 days and receives virtually no international coverage. Organizers never offer Roque again, largely because no governing body exists outside the US, and the format is entirely unfamiliar to European audiences. Without global rules or rivalries, the sport cannot justify its place on the program. Its quiet disappearance from Olympic history reflects a broader issue facing early games: how to distinguish between international competition and local exhibition. By 1908, that line sharpens, and tug-of-war takes center stage in one of the most contested Olympic controversies. 5. Live pigeon shooting. At the 1900 Paris Olympics, event organizers staged the first and only Olympic competition to kill live animals as part of scoring. In the live pigeon shoot, competitors fire at birds released from traps just 10 meters away, with one hit required to eliminate a target. Over the course of the event, roughly 300 pigeons are killed, feathers scatter across the lawn of the Bois de Boulogne, and judges tally up kills per shooter to determine the podium. Belgian marksman Léon de London wins gold after downing 21 birds, narrowly defeating French rival Maurice Faure. Spectators express discomfort even during the event, as wounded pigeons flop across the field and attendants scramble to dispatch them. Animal rights advocates push back almost immediately, criticizing the cruelty and waste. No formal protest is needed. The event quietly disappears from all future programs, replaced in 1908 by clay target shooting. The IOC later retroactively omits the medal from official counts, distancing itself from what becomes a historical footnote. Clay pigeons mark the shift towards synthetic sport, but not every fix proves clean. Up next, when solo synchronized swimming tries to bend the rules of logic. 6. Plunge for distance. Debuting in 1904 at the St. Louis Olympics, the plunge for distance event asks competitors to dive into the water and then coast, completely motionless, for 60 seconds. The winner is the athlete whose body travels the farthest without kicking, paddling, or surfacing early. American swimmer William Dickey earns gold by drifting 62 feet, 6 inches across the pool, using only his entry momentum to carry him forward. No other nation participates. All 5 competitors are from the United States, and all medals stay domestic. Critics note the event lacks both audience appeal and measurable athletic exertion. Judges require tape measures and stopwatches but do little to assess form or difficulty. The spectacle of athletes floating silently underwater for a minute proves underwhelming for fans used to races and jumps. With no international interest and limited drama, the event is cut after its first and only appearance. Aquatics continue to evolve around speed, not stillness, just in time for one of the oddest Olympic sports ever attempted: underwater obstacle courses. 7. Motorboating. Motorboating joins the Olympic program at the 1908 London Games, backed by aristocrats and industrialists hoping to showcase new technology. The event includes 3 separate races, each over 40 nautical miles, with crews piloting gasoline-powered craft through Southampton water. But weather sabotages the spectacle. Brutal wind and rain whip across the English Channel, sinking hopes of speed and turning all 3 races into survival tests. Of 9 boats entered, only 1 finishes each event, and 2 gold medals go uncontested. Spectators find the action both distant and indecipherable. Races happen far from shore, with no standardized course layout and no clear way to follow the competition from the docks. Boats vanish into mist and return nearly an hour later with little fanfare. Olympic organizers quietly dropped the event after 1908, citing logistical difficulty and low global participation. The Games retreat from motorized sports for decades, until snowmobiles and BMX bikes revive the conversation in a very different form. 8. Solo synchronized swimming. Solo synchronized swimming debuts at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics as part of a broader push to expand women's artistic sports on the program. Only 17 athletes enter, each performing choreographed routines to pre-recorded music, judged on synchronization, not with another swimmer, but with the music itself. Canada's Carolyn Waldo places second behind American Tracy Ruiz, who scores 198.467 points to claim gold in front of a home crowd. The event returns for both Seoul 1988 and Barcelona 1992, but never attracts deep international fields. Critics question the logic of a synchronized event with no partner. IOC officials agree by 1996, replacing solo and duet competitions with team-synchronized swimming. 8 swimmers, 1 routine, judged collectively. The team format offers broader participation and cleaner broadcast appeal. Solo synchro exits quietly, never reinstated. The shift sets a precedent for aesthetics-based Olympic events, raising new questions when ballroom dancing comes knocking. 9. Rugby Union. Rugby Union first appears on the Olympic schedule in 1900 with only 3 teams, France, Germany, and Great Britain, competing in Paris. The host nation wins both matches and claims gold, but the event struggles to scale. By 1924 in Paris, the field expands slightly to include the United States and Romania. The U.S. shocks the crowd by defeating France 17-3 in the final, drawing boos and bottle throwing from a hostile local audience. That same year, rugby is removed from the program. The IOC cites inconsistent international interest and poor global governance as justification for the sport's exit. Unlike athletics or gymnastics, rugby lacks a unified global calendar, and travel logistics make full squad participation difficult. No Olympic rugby competition is held for the next 92 years. In 2016, rugby returns, but not as union. It re-emerges in Rio as rugby sevens, faster, shorter, and better suited to the compressed Olympic format. 10. Baseball. Baseball appears as a demonstration sport multiple times throughout the 20th century. 1904, 1936, 1956, and again in 1984 and 1988, but doesn't become an official medal event until the 1992 Barcelona Games. 8 national teams compete that year, with Cuba dominating the round-robin format and defeating Chinese Taipei 11-1 in the final. The sport's inclusion marks a milestone for Olympic team events, but it carries a built-in flaw. Major League Baseball does not release its players. As a result, Olympic rosters feature college athletes and amateurs, not the best talent available. That talent gap erodes the sport's prestige. Cuba wins 3 straight golds from 1992 to 2004, capitalizing on consistency and national investment, while countries like Japan and the U.S. send rotating squads. In 2005, the IOC votes to remove baseball from the Olympic schedule after 2008, citing issues with global reach and MLB's refusal to alter its season. Baseball returns briefly in 2020, with Japan beating the U.S. for gold. But it's absent again from the Paris 2024 lineup. The IOC prefers sports with universal participation and star power. Without full buy-in from professional leagues, baseball struggles to meet either condition. 11. Softball. Softball enters the Olympic lineup at the 1996 Atlanta Games as a women's-only event, with 8 teams competing in round-robin format. The United States wins the inaugural gold, going 10-1 behind pitcher Lisa Fernandez's 0.47 ERA and 21 strikeouts. From 1996 to 2008, softball becomes one of the few female-only team sports at the Games, and the U.S. dominates, winning 3 straight golds and compiling a 30-4 all-time Olympic record by the end of Beijing. But dominance leads to trouble. After the 2008 tournament, where Japan stuns the U.S. in a 3-1 gold medal upset, the IOC votes to drop both softball and baseball. Officials cite limited global participation and lack of male-female parity, despite 127 countries fielding softball teams worldwide. The loss hits especially hard in North America, Asia, and Oceania, where elite women's leagues offer few alternatives for international exposure. Softball briefly returns for Tokyo 2020, again with 6 nations. Japan beats the U.S. once more in the final, 2-0, but it's not included in Paris 2024. Like baseball, its Olympic fate hinges on host nation interest and scheduling flexibility, not athletic merit. 12. Polo. Polo first appears as a full medal sport in the 1900 Paris Olympics, one of the few team events on horseback. It returns four more times: 1908, 1920, 1924, and 1936, before being dropped entirely. In its final Olympic appearance, Argentina defeats Great Britain 11-0 in Berlin, completing an undefeated run behind Captain Manuel Andrada, who becomes one of the most dominant riders of the interwar era. But polo's Olympic lifespan is brief and heavily aristocratic, largely limited to nations with strong cavalry or colonial histories. Its logistical demands raise persistent problems. Each team needs multiple horses per player, plus grooms, transport, and stabling. Because of that, only 9 nations ever field a full Olympic polo squad, and only 5 ever reach a final. The IOC quietly removes polo after 1936, citing cost, exclusivity, and waning international reach, especially with the rise of more accessible team sports like basketball and football. Polo remains active in the Pan American and Southeast Asian Games, but not on the Olympic schedule. The next beat replaces horses with horsepower. 13. Lacrosse. Lacrosse makes its Olympic debut in 1904 St. Louis and returns in 1908 London, but only 2 or 3 teams participate each time. In both editions, Canada dominates, first with a club from Winnipeg, then with an all-star team representing the country's indigenous and colonial roots. In 1904, the bronze medal goes uncontested after the third team, made up of Mohawk players from Eastern Canada, withdraws mid-tournament due to scheduling issues. The event lacks formal structure and barely meets international standards, but still showcases the game's speed and contact. By 1928, 1932, and 1948, lacrosse is reduced to demonstration status, used more to entertain than compete for medals. The sport's governing bodies in North America lobby for its inclusion, but the IOC cites limited global spread and low turnout from outside Canada, the US, and the UK. The cost of travel and field setup, plus the absence of a robust European league, blocks further Olympic consideration. The IOC retires the sport entirely after 1948, although World Lacrosse continues to push for reinstatement. The next banned event? Even fewer rules and a lot more mud. Thank you for joining us in this deep dive into the fascinating world of banned Olympic sports. We've just scratched the surface, but there's so much more to explore in the next part of this series. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with fellow sports enthusiasts, and subscribe to Victory Through Time so you won't miss the next episode. Drop a comment below, letting us know which banned sport surprised you the most. And stay tuned for more Olympic history. See you in the next video.